Well, hi. Today is Tuesday, May 6, 2025. I'm Todd Studer, and this is Morning Coffee. What a day yesterday at Infotec 2025, hosted by the AIM Institute at the Luminarium. It was a great time. A lot of great speakers. I met some wonderful people, did a lot of interviews, and coming up on this show, I will bring you the comments from the CEO of the AIM Institute, Dala, Alphonso, talking about how it all came together, what AIM's mission is as they continue to move forward, and how they are looking to expand even further out into the region, and that includes farther into Iowa. So all of that is coming up on today's show. Right now, I want to remind you that if you or someone you love are in need of in-home care, Home Care Advocacy Network helps you maintain your own privacy in your own space while still receiving care and support with a personalized touch. Aging in place can be critical for many people. Home Care Advocacy Network can meet those needs with an understanding that assisted living is best at home. HCAN of Southwest Iowa brings the personal touch to care at home in Council Bluffs, Glenwood, Red Oak, Clarinda, and all the surrounding communities. Visit hcan.com/Southwest Iowa to learn more. The Mile Away on Old Lincoln Highway in Council Bluffs now open for lunch, and you can stop out there Tuesday through Friday from the hours of 11 to 2 to get a great lunch. And I'm telling you, it's a lot of folks have been asking for this, and now that it's there, it's a really good, inexpensive, and tasty lunch. I get out there every time that I can, and I appreciate Charles and Jess opening things up for lunch. It's been great. Wonderful atmosphere, always a good vibe anytime that I go in there. And they have an announcement coming up very, very soon. There's something new coming to the Mile Away. So keep it right here on Morning Coffee, and we're going to be telling you about the details of this coming up very, very soon. Just So Creative can help you build your business with website design, search engine optimization, content creation, marketing, and everything you need to take your company to the next level. Sue Pitts has a passion for small businesses, helping them thrive in a digital world. A great starting point by visiting her website, justsuecreative.com. Schedule a free consultation by clicking on that free consultation button. Then you're on your way. Sue helped build my website, lushillsmedia.com. She can help you too. Visit justsuecreative.com. And speaking of Sue Pitts, I saw her yesterday at the Infotec 2025 at the Luminarium. And let's check in with those comments from CEO Dala Alphonso.
AIM CEO Dala Alphonso, thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of Infotec this year. I have had a wonderful time so far. We're not done yet.
Nope.
And we've had a great turnout. We've had great speakers. We've had a lot of interaction. I've seen a whole bunch of people coming by the booth here. And from everything that I can see, this has been a fairly successful day.
I am glad, I'm excited, and relieved too.
Well, as you're planning this, and you kind of put this together fairly quickly.
Under 3 months.
Under 3 months that's fast.
That was fast.
Especially when you have to book speakers.
Yeah.
A lot of these people have been, their calendar is already full.
Yeah.
So the fact that you were able to pull all of this together, I think speaks volumes to your leadership and also to everyone else involved with AIM that you have working with you.
I think the team pulled it off. Most people who know me know that I'm an ideas guy. I still remember when we sat in the room and we're talking about, because we had this other conference called Big AI, which we were looking to revamp. We're going to, do this year, and we started talking about what the schedule is going to look like. But being somebody who has a technology background, I strongly perceived and felt like while AI is going to shape the future, it's going to change the way we work, and it's going to change the landscape as far as technology is concerned, is it going to remain mainstream for the next 10, 20 years? So why build an entire conference around it? So I did recall we talked about it in that conference room that day, and we said, hey, what about if we brought back Infotec and lassoed in AI as part of that, because everybody's talking AI automation, cybersecurity, the workforce, and all of that good stuff. And I remembered it was kind of like crickets in that room, because folks were like, okay. And I remembered one person just said, let's do it. And everybody just jumped on board, and here we are less than 3 months later. So this is just a testament to how awesome this team is.
I have experienced that myself, and I've said we're just going to play a game called The Answer is Always Yes, and then we'll figure out how afterwards.
Right.
But I've also discovered in my life that for every problem, there's a solution.
Yes, sir.
There's always a way to be able to do it.
That
now,
is true.
one of the topic of today being AI, and you kind of hinted at it. Is it here for good? Is it now part of everything in a permanent place? Or is this just the next step onto something else?
I believe that it is the next step onto something else. I'm a very firm believer, because I remembered when I got into technology about 20, 25 years ago, we were all very excited about things like PL SQL, programming and C#, C++, all of that fun stuff, VMware, and all that. It was just the world we lived in. But all that has changed. There was a time where in order for you to build an app or to do something that was very technical in nature, you needed to have specific expertise. But that has changed today. You can build an app in 5 minutes. So while AI, like I said earlier, is most likely going to shape the future and how we work, but the truth of the matter is that I'm a firm believer that there's going to be a nexus, there's going to be something else coming behind this. Because if you think about it, artificial intelligence is not new. It's been around since the 1950s. It's just evolved. It's just making mainstream now. So the question is, what else is in the offing? What else is in the works coming around? But I do believe that it will become a fundamental part of our infrastructure, like the internet, or it's like you wondering if there's going to be an internet conference tomorrow, right? There was a time where the internet was like the hardest thing that happened after sliced bread, right?
Prodigy, everybody, that was the only place you could go to get online.
Exactly, precisely. So it's going to evolve like every other technology. I'm a firm believer of that.
What about with the young people that AIM works with, that they need to be ready for what is there when they are entering into the workforce?
Yeah.
So AIM, just by definition, has to be on the leading edge
True.
of everything that's
Yes.
happening for the sake of them.
That is true. Well, one of the things that we started doing over the last 5 months after I joined AIM is we're looking at our entire offerings. And part of that is, there are 3 core paths that we work with at AIM: education, career development, and outreach. And one of the areas that we've looked at very closely has to do with our competency and technical leadership development type skills. While we're looking at things like, all right, what do we need? What do I need as a technologist to lead myself, to lead others? Those are fundamentals. Those are important to understand things like programming, program management, and all of these things that are all part of the framework or part of the ecosystem of being a technologist. We're also looking at what skills do people need for the workforce of tomorrow, right? There was a time where zeros and ones made a lot of sense, but that is also changing. So with that, we also have to start rethinking the way we reskill, upskill the workforce. So we're looking at everything from the existing programs and what else do we need going forward tomorrow. Now, there's one thing I'm going to say, and this is very strategic and it's very important. That is, AIM cannot be everything to everyone. While there's a very broad spectrum of things that needs to be done in order for us to be able to continue to support the workforce from a technological talent retainment, building talent and all of that, it is still important for us to realize that there are people in our ecosystem right here in the Silicon Prairie that are doing some phenomenal work. So why do we need to reinvent the wheel? Why do we need to become everything to everyone? So what we are focusing really is around strategic partnerships, meaning if there's somebody who is already doing it and they're doing it great, we don't have to reinvent it. Partner with them, give them, we've been around long enough, we have a brand recognition that I think we could leverage, but more importantly, if there are gaps that nobody's addressing that aligns with our mission and our vision of developing the workforce of tomorrow, then in those cases we can jump into it.
You talked about, being collaborative. I think that has to do with the speakers that you brought in.
Yep.
You look up and down this aisle with the vendors that
Yep.
are here. They're all a part of it.
Absolutely.
And they're all doing real world examples of what you are teaching students to do.
That is correct. One of the things that we really want to do is to attract talent to the heartland, and attracting the right talent, and not just for today, but for tomorrow as well. AIM exists for one singular purpose: to raise, train, equip, educate, skill, reskill, upskill, whatever it is that you want to call it, that supports the businesses, that supports the tech community. The tech community is an enabler that supports businesses. So be it processes, be it people, be it profitability, whatever it is that we decide we want to do, we just have to make sure that it's done in synergy and it's done in partnership. And to your point, if you look at everything that we've done today, it wouldn't have been possible without the partners, without the sponsors, without the entire tech community being a part of what we do.
And also along the same lines of attracting the talent, there's retaining
the talent.
And there are a lot of young people and adults that are very, very talented here that I know, I've heard you talk about it before, that it's important that we give them a reason to stay.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm really excited about this because it's very easy for anybody outside of the heartland, talking about the Silicon Prairie, be it Iowa, Nebraska, the heartland of the United States. We've had one challenge, and how do we attract talent? And to your point, how do we retain talent? If we look over the last years, maybe the last decade, you'll find out that even talent from within the Midwest, particularly those who are seeking, for lack of better words, greener pastures or greater opportunities, oftentimes move out of the area. So we've got to change that. We've got to repurpose that, and that means that we've got to approach our entire strategy differently. So it's not just about providing tech jobs, it's about providing an ecosystem, an environment where someone would love to raise a family. Being in the Midwest and experiencing the Midwest nice is a whole different experience, but people don't know about this. How often do you think somebody in California or in New York or even overseas would be like, oh, I'm so excited about moving to the heartland of the United States. I'm moving to Nebraska, or I'm moving to Iowa, or I'm moving to Kansas. Often not. Most times you hear people say, oh, I'm going to Texas, I'm going to New York, I'm going to California. Why? Because those are the states that they know about. I remember the first time I moved here in 2007, I remember telling my family, and then like, we're moving to Nebraska. The question was, where? Where? And then there was something interesting. Somebody actually told a member of my family that I was nuts, because from their understanding, there was still buffalo on the streets of Nebraska. So we've got to do a good job of at least getting people to be attracted to the good life, or at least be attracted to moving to the heartland.
Well, and also there's something here. We have a robust metropolitan area.
Yeah.
In the entire Omaha metro, it's now crossed 1 million people of everybody that's in this area. But at the same time, you look out onto the West Coast, and an hour commute is nothing for them from where they are. You look at an hour from Omaha, and you have a plethora of small communities that if somebody wants a more quiet home life, that's an option too that you don't find in other places around the country. That's what makes this unique here, is some options.
It does. And I'm glad you brought that up, because like I was talking about, when I moved here in 2007, I came here to do a project for a company called Sitel. They brought me in here as a technologist. I had Oracle experience as a software developer. And coming in here, I remembered walking into Wells Fargo Bank on Regency, and this gentleman opened the door and he was like, hey, how are you doing? Come on in. And I thought he worked for the bank. Actually, it was a customer that was just working out. And for me, coming in from New York, that was different. So I actually looked behind me to say, who was he talking to? Because I came from the East Coast, where you said hello to someone, they just walked by you like you had some kind of like problem or whatever. Why are you talking to me? But it's different here. You can let your kids go out and do, and things have changed. When I came to Omaha 18 years ago, you could get to anywhere in the MSA within 20 minutes. That has changed quite a little bit. However, it is way better than commuting from home to work an hour and a half each way. Like whenever I hate going to places like New York or California, because Atlanta, because the traffic is horrendous. So call me crazy, but this is home.
I don't call you crazy at all. I live here for a reason too, and that's a big part of it. And there's so many things to offer, and AIM is such an integral part of everything that's happening. And that's why, as I said, I was thrilled when I was asked to come be a part of this, and I'm looking forward to what the next step is, and watching where things continue to go. It's exciting for me to be standing on the outside looking in.
Yeah, it is very exciting. You know, when we came in here, one of the things that we try to do is to really realign to our mission, our vision, our purpose, why we're created. I had conversations with the CEOs that preceded me, all the way back to Bob Sweeney, who was the founding CEO for AIM. And I had a lot of questions. Why was AIM formed? How has it evolved? What has changed? What is the core mission, why we exist, and all of that good stuff. And Bob was here for 15 years. After him, Candace Miller was here for 15 years, and I've had extensive conversations with both of them. And where AIM is going is truly aligned with why AIM exists. To the point that I made earlier, we've tried to be everything to everyone, and that is not going to work because technology is moving faster than we can be able to deliver. And so part of that change is being very clear with what our focus is for the next 5 years. After this, you'll probably hear me talk a little bit about our Vision 2030, which we've tagged R2R, or rebirth to rebuild Vision 2030, which is to double our impact, double our footprint, and also to double our resources. And why is that important? Because we're not only looking at changing processes that as technology provides, we're looking at profitability, we're looking at the people that we work with on a daily basis. And all of that has to properly align strategically with regards to what it is that we need to do in order for us to reach those targets and hit those key performance indexes. Now, there's one fundamental part that I really need to call out, and that is everything we do going forward has to align with our three mainstream paths. That is workforce development or career development, education, and then outreach as well. In order for us to do all of this, it means that we actually have to look at the things that we're great at, really build in on those, introduce some new capabilities, knowing fully well the direction that technology is going, knowing to really clearly what the gaps are in that technology spectrum as well, and be able to address that holistically. So for me, I am really, really excited, and we're not just talking about churning out numbers, we're talking about true measurable impact and transforming lives, because I'm a simple example of that. You know, I started out as a technologist, and here we are 25, 30 years later. I can say that it's worked out well for me.
Well, it involves, you know, reversing that spotlight back on yourself.
Yes, sir.
Putting that magnifying glass on yourself. Sometimes that can be uncomfortable, and it can be difficult internal conversations to have with people. Look, taking a look, are we doing things correctly? Are we, and from where they were to where they are now? Yeah. But the fact that you're willing to even have those conversations, I think, speaks volumes.
It's a hard conversation to have. You know, another example that I can use talking about different streams, for example, is our Leadership Academy. And by the way, I'd like to encourage anybody that has any interest in leadership to consider attending our Leadership Academy programs. We've revamped it, we've rebuilt it, we've redesigned it, we've reimagined it, and it's rolling out come August of this year. And we're not just doing it in partnership, we're not just doing it internally. We realize that we do not have certain capabilities, so we've partnered with Bellevue University to actually start rolling out a renewed, imagined emerging leaders program. That's for anybody who has any kind of leadership potential, or high net performers or individual contributors who are high performers can attend our emerging leaders program, which is for people who have zero experience in leadership all the way to about 2-3 years of experience. And then now we're also rolling brand new, what we call the new advanced leadership program, which is kind of like a level 2 type stance. And that is going to be for anybody who has 3 years of leadership experience, all the way to vice presidents, senior vice presidents, all the way to the footsteps of the executive or the C-suite. So it is very extensive, and we're being very intentional about things like that. So that is just one piece of the puzzle, and we're applying this right across the board. We're looking at expanding into places like Iowa. We've already started doing a lot of work there. We're already started making some contacts in there. So I'm really excited about where we're going. We're already talking about how we can be able to expand the talent pipeline, you know, for us to be able to attract talent to Nebraska. And there's just so much going on. And right now, to be honest with you, it's just an amazing time to be at AIM. And the testament that we have an amazing team today that is making all of this possible is, I just feel truly blessed.
Is it right now, with what you're talking about, is that in a targeted geographical area?
Well,
or is it like if somebody's watching this, and let's say that they're 50 miles outside of Omaha on the Iowa side.
Yep.
Would that be something that you'd like them to take a look at?
100% absolutely. Now, I would say that AIM's vision talks about the Silicon Prairie. The Silicon Prairie is not just Nebraska. Every state, Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, parts of Minnesota, parts of Chicago, South Dakota, each of them have unique needs. And we are intentionally building these programs in a way that it will actually address all the needs in those specific geographical locations. So it's tailor-made to every location, and we're being very intentional about it. We're not cookie cutting it, right? So the needs in Iowa are completely different from the needs in Nebraska. But we know that across the spectrum, there's one thing that is consistent: technology. And we've just got to make sure that that technological need is tailor-made to each location, because when we do have operations in each of those areas, they are going to focus on the specific needs of that area. And that is why I said AIM cannot be everything to everyone. We've got to become something to someone who needs it and that specific value, so that way at least we're spending, our time doing what really matters.
Well, I'm excited to hear you talk about that. I'm excited to hear you say that, you need to address what's going on in each region or in each area, because there is a difference. I've been preaching this for a while, that, such as from Omaha to Council Bluffs, we'll just talk about what's right here with us. What's decided in Omaha is decisions happen in Lincoln. What's decided in Council Bluffs, decisions happen in Des Moines. So we can have a cooperative relationship, but we are not operating under the same rule book.
That is correct.
So there has to be some give and take and a little bit of allowances put into place for these types of things, because we have to address different things for those people.
Absolutely. And I think just by virtue of what we do, where we're coming from, the things that we've seen, and more importantly, the feedback that we've gotten from our community speaks volume to that. And that is why for the entire 2025, our focus as part of our Vision 2030 roadmap is to focus on reconnecting. That reconnection talks about town halls, meetings, listening sessions, understanding what the needs of our community are, the changing dynamics in which how they use technology and engage technology. All of that is a moving target. And so we have to stay consistent with it. And that's why for the first 12 months of my leadership of AIM, what we decided to do is that we are going to focus on reconnecting. That is reconnecting with our vision and our mission, reconnecting with our stakeholders, reconnecting with our technology community, and truly reconnecting in a way that aligns what we are doing with what our ecosystem needs.
This is Dala Alphonso, CEO of the AIM Institute. Thank you, sir. Grateful.
Always a pleasure being here. I truly appreciate your time, sir.
All righty. Thank you
for having me.
It was a great turnout yesterday. A lot of vendors, also some great food, and I had a wonderful time. And also, big thank you to Kyle Randy from Tail Slate Agency for being such a big help for everything that I was setting up. I was right next to him as he was doing video interviews with people and getting different things put together video-wise for the AIM Institute throughout the entire event. And again, thanks, Kyle. Appreciate all of your help. Service Master Restore by Schmader knows it can be hard to get back to normal when you've suffered serious property damage due to flooding, fire, or smoke. And they also do mold remediation. You may be left with all sorts of questions about how to get your home or business back to normal. Service Master Restore by Schmader will restore your space by offering quality commercial and residential restoration services in Council Bluffs and the surrounding area. That's Service Master Restore by Schmader. Since 1870, Avela Bank has been providing Iowans with high-quality financial products and services to fit their needs. Whether you need a loan, would like to start a new business account, need to save money for a trip, or looking to open a personal checking account, Avela's qualified bankers can help you with all that and more. Visit avela.bank to learn more. Well, the CB Captains are 1-0-1 on the season. That means they have yet to suffer a defeat, and they're going to take that record on the road this Saturday against Inter Des Moines. First kick scheduled for 5 p.m. Next home game for the Captains at Titan Stadium in Council Bluffs, May 17th. They're going to be taking on the Sioux Falls Thunder, and that home game is scheduled for 2 in the afternoon. Hope that you can make it. Tickets very inexpensive, just $5. Kids 12 and under get in free. And I really enjoyed last week's game, the 2-0 win over Garwo United. And it was just a wonderful family atmosphere. I'm telling you, this is a good soccer team. You should come out and support them, as they are supporting and representing Council Bluffs very, very well. Follow the CB Captains on Facebook for all the latest. Well, that's going to wrap things up on this Tuesday. Thank you so much. We've got a busy day today recording interviews, and well, I'll tell you all about who we're going to be talking with on tomorrow's show. So that is still on the way. Thank you so much. I'm Todd Studer. Have a great Tuesday.